Welcome back to Hollywood Bulletin. Today we look into a tragedy that shook the entire world and left millions with unanswered questions. The heartbreaking death of Princess Diana. For nearly 3 decades, people have debated whether her passing was simply a tragic accident or if something far darker was hidden beneath the surface. Many believed it was murder. Others thought there was a secret plot. And time itself revealed a chain of failures that made this loss even harder to accept. Tonight, we revisit that August night in 1997 when Diana and Dodi Fayed left the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Seeking peace from the relentless paparazzi, they slipped out the back entrance into a waiting black Mercedes driven by Henri Paul. The plan was simple: escape the cameras, but it backfired instantly. Paparazzi spotted them, mounted motorcycles, and began chasing at terrifying speeds. Henri Paul, who was not a professional driver and was later found to be intoxicated, sped toward the dark Pont de l'Alma tunnel. Within seconds, disaster struck. The Mercedes clipped a small white Fiat, then slammed into a concrete pillar. Dodi and Henri died instantly, while Diana, badly injured but alive, was trapped in the wreckage. What followed was as haunting as the crash itself. Instead of rushing to help, some photographers swarmed the wreck and took pictures of Diana in her final moments. By the time paramedics arrived, precious minutes had already been lost. French law required her to be treated at the site before transport, which caused even more delays. For nearly an hour, she fought for her life, but the torn vein in her chest proved impossible to repair. By morning, the people's princess was gone. The world woke up to grief, but also suspicion. Why wasn't she wearing a seatbelt when she had always spoken about road safety? Why was Henri Paul chosen to drive when a sober professional chauffeur was available? Why was the medical response so slow? And what about the mysterious Fiat Uno that disappeared from the scene? Investigations in both France and Britain lasted years. The French concluded it was a tragic accident caused by drunk driving, high speed, and the chasing paparazzi. The British inquiry later agreed, but called it unlawful killing due to reckless driving and the dangerous pursuit by the press. Still, many felt unsatisfied. Mohammed Al-Fayed, Dodi's father, publicly claimed Diana and his son were murdered, blaming the royal family and intelligence services. Yet, Operation Paget, one of the largest crash investigations in history, found no evidence of conspiracy. Instead, it uncovered a perfect storm of poor decisions, reckless behavior, and neglect of basic safety measures. What makes Diana's death unbearable is not just that it happened, but that it didn't have to. If Henri had not been drinking, if the couple had worn seatbelts, if paparazzi hadn't given chase, if the response had been quicker, she might have lived. Her death was not fate, it was preventable. And that truth continues to haunt millions. But out of tragedy came change. Worldwide outrage forced the press to re-examine how far they would go in pursuit of a story. Privacy laws were strengthened, journalism schools began teaching Diana's case as a lesson in ethics, and even the British royal family changed, becoming more open and emotionally connected with the public. Her death also reminded us of the importance of seatbelts and improved trauma care. Yet, the most haunting part remains the role of the media. The photographers did not crash the car, but they were the reason for every rushed decision that night. They were there in the tunnel, snapping photos of a dying woman instead of helping, and for many, that makes them the true villains of this tragedy. Diana lived her life under relentless flashes of cameras, and in the end, she died surrounded by them. That is the heartbreaking legacy of the most photographed woman in the world. Friends, this story reminds us not just of Diana's tragic end, but of the cost of obsession, recklessness, and greed. If you found this story as moving as we did, make sure to subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon so you never miss the hidden truths and untold stories of the past.